Race car driving is not just fast, there's fast money involved. Here to talk to us about it, along with a new venture that will put you behind the wheel, is professional race car driver Raphael Santos. Raphael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You grew up in Brazil, and I'm first wondering, is Brazil known for its race car industry, and how did you get involved?
Auto racing in Brazil is very, very, very popular. It's not as popular as it used to be when Ayrton Senna was reigning in Formula One. And I got involved growing up and watching Ayrton Senna race. And I said to my mother, I said, one day, I'm going to do that. And ever since, I've dedicated myself to try to get to that position someday. Both
Formula and NASCAR seem to drive most of the business in the United States. How big of a business is this?
It's a very big business. NASCAR last year, 2014, reported a revenue of $3.1 billion. Which is interesting because they're only in the U.S., whereas Formula One is worldwide and over 19 different countries and 5 different continents, and yet they reported a less revenue of about $1.9 billion.
That's interesting because I understand that Europe actually has more race car fans, or at least it seems to be more interested in racing.
Yeah, so it's more part of their culture. Racing is just is more accepted by the general public over there, whereas in the United States, it's something that's becoming more popular as of late, with a lot of new series being developed here and a lot more interest showing up.
Why do you think in the U.S., and correct me if I'm wrong, that it seems to be more of a Southern experience?
Yeah, so NASCAR is what everybody thinks about when they think about America and racing. They think NASCAR. And it's not the truth anymore. There's a lot of really big racing series coming up. You have IndyCar now. There's a lot of other series that are popping up that are kind of taking the spotlight away from NASCAR. So it's not only NASCAR anymore that we do here. We have Global Rallycross coming up, Formula D, which is a drift series. It's very, very fun to watch, and they just got a TV spot, so now they're going to be on TV, which is incredible.
For the individual driver, sponsorship is key here, right? You cannot afford to be in this sport unless you have independent sponsors.
Absolutely not. Racing is very, very expensive. It's the most expensive hobby you could have, besides other things that we probably shouldn't mention. But that being said, the best way to become a millionaire as a race car driver is to start off as a billionaire and work your way down. There's no money to be made in racing. The money that's made with the sponsorships are just basically an advertisement and reach, how many people you're getting to see your product and see your logo.
And it's not an individual sport at all, is it? There's a whole team behind you.
Absolutely. Even in the lower level of it, you always have a pit crew. You have people that work with you with transportation, logistics. It's very hard to run a race team by yourself. There's very few people that do it successfully. And they only in the very bottom. When you get to the top, like Formula One and NASCAR, you have groups of hundreds of people that are working together to make sure that the cars are at the right place and everything's working, everything's copacetic.
I've covered the Daytona 500. One of the things that I found interesting is the drivers are athletes. When they talk to you about their training program, it's not in the car, it's in the gym. Can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. So in any kind of car that's traveling at a high rate of speed, when you hit a corner, you're hitting immense G-forces, enough to make an average person pass out. So if you ask any of the drivers that drive these really fast, Indy cars or Formula One cars, they actually have to breathe a certain way in order to not pass out in a corner. So if you actually hear them over the mic, they're going and trying to make sure that they're keeping their circulation going, everything going, so that they do not pass out.
Any idea of the percentages of the number of race car drivers out there who make a living by doing this?
There's people that make a living. It depends on what your definition of making a living is. There's people, the ideal situation to be in is that to get to race and not necessarily be broke doing it. So like if you're able to support yourself and race, that's awesome. There's a very small percentage of people that are able to race professionally and have that only be their only career.
You're involved in a very interesting project that helps get people behind the wheel with professional race car drivers. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I work at Cloud9 Exotic, which is an exotic car company where we put people behind the wheel of exotic cars such as Ferraris, Lamborghinis, you name it. And we put you in a car with a pro driver, and it lets you experience what it feels like to be behind the wheel of a race car with a pro driver giving you tips. And it's a really great way to wet your feet if you're thinking about becoming involved with us.
This is predominantly a male sport still, and predominantly a white sport. Is that true?
Yes and no. I don't think it's predominantly white anymore. I do think it's predominantly a male still. However, there's a lot of women.
Has NASCAR and Formula One, though, done a good enough job, about 30 seconds left, in attracting diversity into the sport?
I think it could definitely be better. Our front runner right now, Lewis Hamilton, is British, but he does have African-American background. And there's a lot of Brazilians involved in the sport. I think it's very worldwide. We'll see what the future holds.
Okay. Raphael Santos, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good talking to you about it.